What's up, fam? And welcome.
Peace, family. PBI Talks, Season 3, Episode 1.
Can you believe it? It doesn't feel like it's like 3 seasons.
Well, this is one of those like Netflix seasons, you know what I mean? It's not traditional. For those of us who grew up watching television back during the 80s or the 90s, those seasons was like a whole year almost. These Netflix seasons is like a month maybe, and it's like a whole nother season. So we kind of probably somewhere within that quarter year, half a year time frame, something like that.
Well, I don't know, because some stations, and I'm not gonna put them out there, I'm not gonna put them on blast, but they'll go 2 weeks episode, maybe we one of those, stars, not to name, name drop, wait 2-3 weeks before they come out with the episode. But we are getting this new season started. Of course, I am one of your hosts, Professor Lotus, and this is my partner in purpose and co-host, Anthony D.
Peace, family. BBI Talks family. It's an honor and a privilege to be with you all for this season. And I tell you, we have some exciting content to share with you all this season.
Yes.
And I believe that you will, I guess, to be a wonderful way to set the tone for this upcoming season. So tune in, ask questions, and by all means, please share this broadcast.
Yes.
If you're on Facebook, share it. If you're on YouTube, share it. Look, my mama don't have a Facebook account, but you can get that YouTube link and drop it to your parents, and they'll be able to watch it.
That's right.
So
that's right.
Yeah, families, tune in, check us out,
and don't forget to subscribe.
That's right.
And to like.
That's right. Subscribe on YouTube, like on Facebook
and Instagram.
Exactly like it. Share it. And
all that. But we're missing something now. Last week you kind of spoiled us, Anthony D, because you had this like rocking KRS-One bed, in the background. So what you got for us this week?
Let's see what we got. Something. Okay, that's not what I had in mind. Trying to do.
Look, I said, boy, he done got all spiritual. Okay. You got that crunk gospel happening. Okay. I'm feeling this. Look, this gives us enough time to kind of log in, share. This is the time to do that. As we get ready for our episode today, we are going to be talking about the new Black Wall Street market.
That's right.
Right here in the city of STONECREST.
That's right.
Well, not here, because we're at RICE, right? Which is the Russell Innovation Center of Entrepreneurs
in Atlanta, Georgia.
That's right. Shout
out to RICE. Shout out to Brother Jay Bailey. Shout out to Mr. Chris Hale.
Yes. And check out her dope puzzles as well. She's got some wonderful puzzles that she offers to, to the whole industry. That's like almost a $40 billion industry, puzzles, man. And she's doing it. She's coming correct with it. And like I said, we've got an incredible guest today. So first, before we even get started, I want to make sure that we say what's up to our Instagram fam. Please check in with us. Let everybody know that we are live. What's up to our Facebook fam? I see y'all coming in the room. What's up to our YouTube fam? What's up? So I think we're all here. I think we're getting ready to go ahead and get this thing started. But of course, we have to start with the dope intro, and y'all will see some modifications that we made to make sure that we include my wonderful co-host, Anthony D. So please check us out. You know what it is. BBI Talks. Let's go.
We gotta bring businesses back. My business is black. My business is black as the universe. I know why they mad. They gotta react. Cause we're universal influencers. I can supply you the man. Get what I need out the land. The earth is the kingdom of God. Glad that I know where I am. We gotta bring businesses back. My business is black. My business is black as the universe. I know why they mad. They gotta react. Cause we're universal influencers. I can supply you the man. I can supply you the man. Get what I need out the land. Glad that I know where I am.
All right, we are back. Another edition of BBI Talks. And so who do we have today?
We have Brother Matthew Hampton, who is a lifelong businessman who began his entrepreneurial journey at the age of 14 in Little Rock, Arkansas. Imagine that. In 2015, Matthew co-founded a professional training and management organization with his This drew the attention of philanthropic entrepreneur Leicester Bill Allen. As joint owners of Elevate Entrepreneurship Systems, Matthew and Maria have been contracted by the Allen Entrepreneurial Institute since 2015 to design, develop, and direct its programming as directors of the Institute and co-founders of the co-founders / directors of the Aei Startup Factory. Currently, the couple is also excited to lead infrastructure and architecture development for the new Black Wall Street market, again, in Stonecrest, Georgia. And for those who are like, Stonecrest, Georgia, is that like Stone Mountain, Georgia?
Nah.
Actually, it's not. Stonecrest, for many reasons, we won't go into the historical background, but Stonecrest is actually recently formed. I don't have the year that it was incorporated, but suffice it to say, it was very recent, and it is a predominantly Black city founded or incorporated in DeKalb County, Georgia, recently. So shout out to the people of Stonecrest for bringing this into existence. And to give you some modern context, it's important that we go back to the history. So while we're waiting on our guests to arrive, we felt it was only appropriate to show a little more information about the historical Black Wall Street. Some of you have heard of it, but we don't make any assumptions here on Media Talk. So
that's right.
We are about empowering and providing information. So if you would mind, let's check out a few moments of some information about the historical Black Wall Street.
After unarmed father Terrence Crutcher was shot and killed by police, hundreds protested here in Tulsa. What many didn't know is that nearly 100 years ago, on these very streets on which they were marching, hundreds of African Americans were killed in one of the darkest chapters of Tulsa's and America's history. A lot of folks around here used to whisper about it over the decades, but nobody, Black nor white, wanted to talk about it. And that history was being forgotten. Before it happened, Tulsa was the scene of a thriving, wealthy Black community.
Black Wall Street was the most prosperous Black-owned business district in 1921.
This was Black Wall Street. There were hundreds of Black-owned businesses, everything from banks to pharmacies to the doctor's office. And Black folks were making really good money. There were even 2 movie theaters, all Black-owned and operated. Segregation was in full effect. We heard that there was a gentleman who owned a plane. Is that true?
Simon Berry was a pilot and owned his own plane.
Black folks were rich here, basically. They lived very good lives.
Many of them, yes. Yes, which caused some envy and anger among white people who commented, how dare those Negroes have a grand piano in their house and I don't have a piano in my house.
1921 rolls around. What happens?
Some type of confrontation between Blacks and whites was inevitable because of the racial climate at that time, because of the presence of the Ku Klux Klan in almost every aspect of our society. But on this particular day, May 31st, 1921, a young Black male named Dick Rowland, who worked as a shoe shine boy in downtown Tulsa, went into the Drexel building where he had been given permission to get water and use the restroom. There was a young white girl named Sarah Page who was an elevator operator. And Dick Rowland every day would go into the elevator with Sarah Page. On this particular day, after the elevator doors closed and Sarah Page and Dick Rowland were alone in the elevator, a few moments later, there was a scream. The elevator doors opened. Dick Rowland ran and was later arrested, and Sarah Page initially claimed that she had been assaulted.
Brown says Page never pressed charges, but authorities did, and the damage was done. By the end of the day, the rumor mill said Page had been raped.
As word spread, angry whites were determined that they were going to take matters into their own hands.
A large crowd of white residents gathered at the courthouse. They demanded Dick Rowland be lynched. How did the Black community respond to that demand to lynch this young man?
They were willing to risk their lives. They knew that they would be risking their lives to help defend Dick Rowland. And thousands of whites gathered in front of the courthouse. A white man approached a Black man with a gun. He said, "What are you going to do with that gun?" He said, "I'm going to use it if I have to."
The two men argued. There was a struggle over the gun. It fired. The white resident was shot. All hell broke loose.
Blacks retreated to the Greenwood district, where they set up a barrier at the railroad tracks and were able for a short time to keep whites from invading their community. But because they were so outnumbered and outgunned, whites eventually broke through the railroad tracks and invaded what was home to Black Wall Street, the Greenwood district.
This was the result. 35 city blocks of the Black neighborhood burned to the ground. Historical photos show Black residents shot dead in the streets. The historical account is that at least 300 people were killed.
There were children that were here that had been armed by their parents, that had been told that they could come down to Greenwood and shoot and kill an innocent person. Those are the same people that we grew up with in our communities, that were a part of our society.
How many Black people lost their lives?
There's really no way of knowing exactly how many people lost their lives, potentially thousands of innocent men, women, and children.
What is worse, survivors say they remember death not just in the streets, but raining down from the sky.
Many of our race riot survivors have commented that they remembered seeing planes flying overhead, dropping bombs, dropping nitrogen.
Smith Jones is believed to be the last living survivor in Tulsa. She's 97 years old.
My daddy wasn't at home, just the kids and mama. They came and got us.
Was it white people from the city?
At Cattle Street Fairground. And we was there for about 2 or 3 days.
To the fairgrounds.
And my dad didn't know where we were.
Did your family want to leave?
My mother, you know, with all this stuff going on, she thought it might have been safer with them taking us out there and live with more people.
Everyone called it a race riot. The opinion piece in the newspaper condoned it, calling Greenwood Niggertown. Do you consider it a riot?
No, ma'am. It was really murder. It was a massacre. My grandmother was awakened at night and just told to run. Just get up and run. And they ran. She was only 9. They ran for days. She got mixed up from her family and lost in a chicken coop.
Calling it a riot was convenient for a city run by whites. There's no statute of limitations for murder, but there is for a riot. For the Black victims, it was devastating.
Any type of justice for losing their loved ones, for losing their homes and the businesses that they worked so hard for, that they built from the ground up.
Every insurance claim from the Greenwood neighborhood was denied. The claims totaled about $2.7 million. Black Wall Street did recover, but never to its former glory. Do you think life is better for Black folks in America now?
Yeah. Some places, yes, some places not.
If there was any clearer sign that change in race relations has happened to this community, this was it. During a march for a Black father slain by a police officer, half of those marching were Black and the other half white, all marching in unison, saying Black lives matter. But there are stark reminders of the racism that continues to thrive in some people's hearts. So the marching and the worrying continues.
All right. Okay, so yes, because actually we are welcoming someone to platform who's going to get us into the new Black Wall Street market, right? So we got the history, right? That gives us some context. Now we are in present day to see what is it that we are doing today that is going to move us and propel our people forward? So without further ado, would you like to introduce our guest?
Absolutely. BBI Talks family, let's introduce and welcome Brother Matthew Hampton.
How you all doing? I'm having a little difficulty. I'm trying to.
That's right. Give that man a round of applause. Round of applause for you, brother.
Can you hear us? Brother Matthew?
Uh-oh, let's see. His mic, unmute his mic. Okay.
Okay, you're gonna have to unmute yourself, Brother Matthew. It looks like we're having a little internet challenge.
All right, we can see him. Oh, there he is.
He just needs to unmute himself.
I can't. Okay. So, Brother Matthew, you're gonna have to unmute yourself, brother. We can't hear you.
Gotta unmute yourself. Gotta take yourself off mute.
Hi, how are you all doing? I think it's a little bit more stable now. Hello? Hello, hello, hello?
There we go.
You can't hear me?
No. Nope, we can hear you now.
Okay, I can hear you as well.
Okay, here we go. Here we go. Okay, so we're not going to delay us getting started. So please tell us about the vision of the new Black Wall Street market there in the city of STONECREST. We just did a historical background just to kind of lay a foundation for our viewers, but we're interested in knowing what is happening in 2021.
Well, thank you so much for having us on. The new Black Wall Street market is a part of a vision that Mr. Leicester Bill Allen and the Allen family have had to increase minority entrepreneurship through the Allen Entrepreneurial Institute. And so for 20 years, Mr. Allen has been playing host to young people, to African-American and women entrepreneurs, and at his main campus where he's taught entrepreneurship. And so as he has continued that program, he brought us in about 5 years ago to really look at the new age programming and how we could continue on that mission. And so the new Black Wall Street is a continuation of Mr. Allen's vision to support minority-owned businesses. And we have I'm excited to say on this show, this is the first time I've got to announce this, but we are at 100% occupancy. We have over 100 new Black businesses here at the new Black Wall Street market. And y'all are the first media outlet to get that information.
Thank you. Look, we like the new stuff. That's amazing. That's amazing. Congratulations. So you said what is the next step for where you into now? You step. We have a delay, y'all. We have a delay, y'all.
Yeah, and I think, can you hear me clearly?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so the next step at the new Black Wall Street market is we're preparing to open up our consignment program. And so our grand opening is going to be next week. And for Black Friday, we will create what we're calling the Blackest Black Friday ever. And we will be celebrating Black entrepreneurship, celebrating Black culture. And then after that, we'll begin our regular operating hours of 11 to 8, Tuesday through Saturday, and 11 to 6 on Sundays. Now, another new program that's coming out is we're going to begin an all-call for entrepreneurs who have consignment-based products. They can go in our grocery store, our gift shop, our art gallery, our art gift shop, our bakery. And so now we have the opportunity to open up this beautiful platform we have here of the new Black Wall Street market to entrepreneurs all over the country, if not all over the world, to send us your products. Let us put it on the shelf. Let us sell it. And then bring the profits back to you. So we're anticipating that this program is going to take us up to about 300 different entrepreneurs that we're serving here at the new Black Wall Street market.
Amazing. And how many visitors have you had at the new Black Wall Street market since your soft opening?
Yeah, no, that's we all have been kind of shocked at the response. Atlanta Metro, our family, our cousins, our aunties, our uncles, they showed up and they showed out. So our first weekend we opened, we had over 10,600 visitors coming out, and we clocked them in as they came in. And then our next weekend that we were open, the follow this previous weekend, we had over 7,000 visitors come and show up that weekend. So we've anticipated crowds this weekend. We were really excited that we were featured twice this week by the AJC, one for our food and then one also for having the Blackest Black Friday next week. And so we're anticipating another 7,000 to 8,000 folks this weekend as we're open this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11 to 8. So I know you all have that entrepreneurial community tuning in and watching. So y'all gonna help us get there this weekend.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What has been some of the feedback that you've gotten from people who've come, whether they've come from Metro Atlanta or they've come from other parts of the country? We actually saw you earlier today as you were speaking with a sister visiting from San Diego, California. So what has been some of the feedback that you've gotten about what people have seen when they've come to the new Black Wall Street?
You were breaking up a little bit, but I think you were asking me what have people seen or what have been some of the things that they've said when they come to the new Black Wall Street market.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. There's a little bit of that delay still on my end. So we have seen leaders from around the country come here, see this, and the first thing that we've seen over and over again is, why didn't we think of this? How can we do it? How can we replicate? So we do feel like there's certainly opportunity for us to replicate this model as we business ourselves, but there's certainly opportunities for us to replicate this model of creating a marketplace, creating an intersection. And this is only the beginning. Our next step is to really take this model and to drive it online and to look at the e-commerce aspects of the model that we've developed here. And so those will be some of our next steps after we get our consignment program launched.
But before we move into the details of the consignment program, I feel it's important for us to also talk about the foundation. So you mentioned Brother Allen as being the primary developer for this particular endeavor. If you could please kind of give our viewers some background of who it is that's behind this particular project.
No, that's a great question because, you know, so often when we see really cool things in our community, we don't recognize the Black excellence that goes into it. And I certainly want people to know that the developer is an African-American entrepreneur, Mr. Bill Allen. Mr. Allen is approximately 70. He's in his 70s, and he's been a successful entrepreneur since he was in his 40s. And so for the last 30 years, he's been one of the pioneers of the charter school industry. So he went out, he developed a business with his family, his wife. They developed an educational-based real estate development company. So they developed both the real estate, they had the schools, and they created a model that they franchised all over this country. And he did good business practices. And so with that, he was able to amass this wealth. And with his wealth, he was looking at, you know, what was being talked about in our community. He was like, it just wasn't any solutions. We were still talking about the same conversations we had 20 years ago about, you know, how can we get more percentage of the purchasing and da-da-da. And he was like, man, I set out and I wanted to make a real impact. So he remembered Atlanta as the first place he saw successful African-Americans when he came here as a teenager. He was at a competition on Auburn Avenue. And he said, Matt, I saw Black folks dressed up in the middle of the week and they weren't going to a funeral. And I remember that kind of cemented my desire to be extremely successful. So that's why he came from Detroit to Atlanta to establish the Allen Entrepreneurial Institute here in Stonecrest. And he built a rather large mansion where we host young people, a large hotel, and a conference center that's all designed to get young people and African-American entrepreneurs to dream bigger, to go further, and try to achieve more as entrepreneurs. So that's who Bill Allen is. And he is Black.
I'm so glad. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so glad that you said that in terms of having an institution that our young people can go look at and aspire to. I think that is exceptionally important. Can you tell us about some of the programs or initiatives that the Allen Entrepreneur Institute actually hosts?
Yeah, sure. So we host our number one program is the Young African Leaders Initiative, the YALI program, which we do in partnership with Clark Atlanta University. That YALI program brings us 35 of the brightest minds from the continent of Africa together for a 9-week experience here in the United States where they develop relationships. This is something that came out of the State Department under the Obama administration. And that has been, we've supported that program for the last 5 years. We also have our HBCU exposure program where Mr. Allen has partnered with HBCUs.
You there?
People 35. Okay, I may have blanked out. I had somebody. Okay, am I still here?
Yes, sir. Yeah, yes. If you left off at the HBCU exposure program.
Yeah, and so the HBCU exposure program, we've had everyone here from Clark Atlanta to Morehouse to Alabama State, Talladega, Mississippi Valley State, Jackson State. And so these schools get to come here free of charge. Mr. Allen feeds, clothes, and trains the young people from each of those HBCUs over a 48-hour period of time. And then we've also had our exposure camps for junior high through high school students to where we bring in younger people to expose them to the mindset of successful entrepreneurs. And so awesome. Over the past few years, Mr. Allen has serviced over 12,500 young people through those programs. And so he's made a great impact. We recently, 5 years ago, launched the Aei Startup Factory. It's kind of like, I would characterize it as kind of like our little baby Russell Entrepreneurship Center or gathering spot from Atlanta. And so it provides business development services here on the east side. And now our latest project is this one, the New Black Wall Street Market, which also is the pilot project for our 300-acre development, which is the New Black Wall Street International Village. So we'll go into new construction after we get this project all the way off the ground. So we've been a little busy out here at the Institute.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
One of the things that I noticed, and it made me curious to know if this is a part of the model to be shared nationally, is the location that the New Black Wall Street Market is in a former Target. And what resonated with me was that sometimes in our community, when businesses shut down for whatever reason, and that spot becomes vacant, it becomes a blight, and we rarely see businesses that we control or that we own filling that void, so to speak. Is that intentional on Mr. Allen's behalf to take these places that were once occupied by previous tenants to repurpose them to put on this market?
I couldn't hear the question. Could you? I'm still getting a pretty much bad feedback on y'all's. Could you try to ask it again for me?
Sure. I was saying how I noticed the location in STONECREST obviously is an old Target facility. For anybody who's familiar with that area, that used to be a Target building. My question was, is this a part of the national model to take old facilities that were once occupied by other businesses that have now become vacant, that sometimes in our communities become a blight to the neighborhood? Is that part of the model? Is that intentional to take some of these properties that were once occupied to revitalize them so that we take ownership of them? Is that part of the model that's going to be spread nationwide?
Well, so I'll say yes, right? But I also am just like honest to a fault, right? We actually, Mr. Allen purchased this speculatively for another reason. And it wasn't part of a grand model. But what happened is we got in a situation to where we had this brand new land and we could do development that was ground up development. That was definitely an option. Or we could make a move on this piece. And really what was the determining factor was that George Floyd, to be honest. Mr. Allen knew that in this country right now, there's a sensitivity towards racial inclusion and systemic racism that has never happened before. And as we were getting ready to come up on the 100th year anniversary of the burning of Black Wall Street, Mr. Allen said, you know what, we need to have something to show this country a solution. And after George Floyd, he knew that this was the right time. So we really developed this model in response to what was going on in the market. Now, I think it is genius that you take existing facilities that are in African-American communities, because so many of us know that retail is changing. We know that oftentimes in our communities, it's a little bit more difficult for us to for a new construction type of development. And so it does make sense for us to look at taking big boxes, taking existing real estate resources and converting them to these kind of uses. As we see the proliferation of dining halls, we got 17 different ways to feed folks here at the New Black Wall Street Market. And so it does make sense. But we weren't that smart in the beginning, Mr. Allen. That was initial. Take credit.
I think you're frozen. Oh, you back?
Am I still frozen?
I think you froze on us for a minute.
Okay.
Okay, here we go.
I don't know how far I was in before I froze.
I wanted to get into the membership, because I know that there's obviously a cost involved with becoming a part of the membership for the services the programs that you're offering. Can you kind of talk about that? Because really it comes across to me as being an investment back into yourself and into your business.
Yeah, certainly. You know, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I was just explaining that to one of our merchants, is that this is truly a business development membership program, right? And so we're all about, this is not a place where you just come to rent space. We are all about training and developing our entrepreneurs. And we're all about making sure that we solve problems together. So, for example, with our entrepreneurs who are here now, as part of their pre-training, we brought out lenders like Axion, lenders like Lyft, BB&T, and we sat down and we talked and we worked with them to actually help our vendors go through the process of applying for microloans, making sure that they had all their documentation together, they had everything filed. And we helped many of our members get microloans, like $25,000 to $50,000, as they got ready to go into this juncture. Also, it is required, and it's actually cooked into the membership agreement, that you have to deliver excellent customer service here. So, and we have customer service training programs that happen every week. So one of the things that we know as African Americans, that we demand great customer service, but we also got to learn the science of how we deliver great customer service. And so all of those kind of programs are cooked into our membership. There's a $300 application fee. And even when you apply for a membership here, we take you through a 4-part questionnaire called our snapshot, where we really figure out where you are in the entrepreneurial cycle. And then we match you up with the appropriate program. And so, again, this is all about, for Mr. Allen, this is not about making more money, but it's really a much deeper mission and cause he has to really look at the fundamentals of your business and then figure out how to grow from there. And so after your application fee, we put you in a program, you make a deposit payment. I can tell you that many of our retail shops, the memberships start at like $1,000 a month to have their own retail place where you can sell merchandise every day, day in and day out. We're getting ready to do our consignment program. I think it starts at like $200 a month. And our virtual program also starts at like $200 a month. So many of these programs are designed to be very affordable for entrepreneurs, so they can get stable. They can get stable on a solid foundation, and they can grow from there. And so we've tried to really, make sure that the bar is lowered on the financial commitment. But we do got to make a commitment in order to be in the program. But we give you a heck of a lot for the amount of money that we charge folks.
Amazing.
Excellent. Well, I am a former DeKalb County resident myself. I actually used to live in the city of, well, it's not a city. I used to live in Ellenwood, DeKalb County. And I bring that up because I was a DeKalb resident when STONECREST came online. And so that may be interested to know what has been some of the, I guess, the realized benefits. Has there been sort of a private-public relationship that Mr. Allen and the New Black Wall Street has developed with the city of STONECREST or the city or DeKalb County government?
Yeah, certainly there has been, and so that relationship in particular, our public-private partnership, the city of STONECREST Development Authority actually issued over $750 million in tax abatement bonds for us. So what that means is that, and this is one of the things that Mr. Allen really wants to teach more African-American leaders how to do in their communities. So what happens is, it wasn't necessarily $750 million in cash, but what it is up to $750 million over the next 20 years, we won't have to pay property taxes. And that bond allows us to kind of mitigate this investment. It allows us to get in here and to get stable and to bring more businesses to the city of STONECREST. And so oftentimes these types of abatements, these types of bond issuances are used to attract industry, but very seldom do we use these type of instruments to do things for minority businesses. And so that's a great question, because that's actually part of what makes this deal doable. Mr. Allen explained it to me like this. He said, Matt, a man of my level of wealth, I can take that wealth and I can invest in a project in Buckhead, and I know exactly what it's going to do. Buckhead has a certain rhythm and a flow that oftentimes we don't have in minority communities when it comes to the economic side. So you have to use these tools like the tax abatements so that you can financially make these deals make sense. And so one of the things that he's tasked me with doing is bringing leaders here to understand how to get those tax abatements, but how to, I guess, a little bit more sophisticated with your minority business development program. Instead of just talking about how do we get our percentage of the pie, also we can look at how do we develop real estate and use those city incentives to really support development that helps Black businesses. And so that's a really great question, because I forgot to mention that. But we've had a great partnership with the city of STONECREST and been very pleased with what they've been able to do quickly in order to help us bring about this development and bring in these new businesses here in STONECREST, Georgia.
And just for clarity's sake, if there are representatives from other cities and other states that are interested in coming to learn the process of duplicating this in their cities, do you also offer that?
Yes, that is one of the programs that we will be offering. We're just a little busy right now, but Mr. Allen wants me to bring municipal leaders here to the Allen Entrepreneurial Institute so that city council person that got elected, they know they want to do something around economic development. You know, oftentimes cities and municipalities may have buildings and there are certain bonding programs they can use. Oftentimes there may be another Mr. Allen or a high wealth individual in a city that wants to partner with the city, but they need that tax abatement in order to develop a project like this that helps minority businesses. And so we're going to have training offered this fall that gives municipal leaders that ability to connect with us. And so that you can learn about that, and we'll have that on our website at AEI, the Allen Entrepreneurial Institute, at the www.newblackwallstreetmarket.com. We'll have that kind of information available so that we can kind of spread that education on how you cultivate this kind of development in your communities.
Wonderful. So we talked about the benefits to entrepreneurs. We talked about the benefits in terms of the public and private sector partnerships. How is it also benefiting the local community?
Yeah, I think that's a good. Y'all are good, man. I like y'all's questions. You know, here in STONECREST, we have our community has been crying out that we need new restaurants. Our community is one of those communities, almost like a bedroom community, because people come out here, they live out here, they drive other places to work, they come back here and sleep, and then, you know, they're here on the weekend. But we need more entertainment. We need that fullness that you get from a kind of ITP experience of being inside the perimeter, right? So we've created 17 restaurants, and that answers one question that the community has said they wanted to have, right? The second thing that we also are providing the community is we have the Pink Lion Jazz Club, where we'll have jazz acts and we'll have entertainment. I always feel funny when I say adult entertainment, but entertainment for a mature, grown and sexy
We know
crowd.
what you mean.
That way. I know. It just don't feel right when I say it. So I have to just qualify it. But we have expo space. We have conference space. We've got a museum space here. I mean, our art gallery is it is very comparable. I mean, our African art display competes with the High Museum. So we're bringing culture to the community. And then also just think about the example that we're teaching our kids when they come and they got a place in their neighborhood where they can see over 100 people that look like you and me who own the businesses. So we're planting seeds of ownership and entrepreneurship, not only in the people of today, but also in the kids of the future. They're just gonna think this is normal. Black people have places where they sell a lot of product and everybody own it and they make a lot of money. That's just normal for our kids. And so, you know, those are the ways that we're investing back in the community and really giving them real examples of Black business, but Black business done right and first class, not anything other than that. Let me just say it that way.
Absolutely. So we actually got a question from one of our viewers, Brother Matthew. And so I'm gonna pose it to you. How do you suggest that we, the Black community, not just in Metro Atlanta, but in every metropolitan area across the country, how do we go about getting funding where the average Black household had zero or negative net worth?
That's a good question. I think what we've got to do is, we've got to understand the realities of ain't nobody coming to save us but us. Okay? That's the first thing. So our whole approach that there's going to be some great white hope, some great bank that's going to start doing right, that ain't going to happen. What we've got to do is we've got to learn how to build businesses. And I watched Mr. Allen for the last few years, and I call this asset-based thinking. Oftentimes when we start a business, we look at and we try to create this big business. I got to start me a restaurant. I need $250,000 for the building. I need $100,000 for this. And you got a regular job. You got, like you said, zero. You got negative equity in your crib, right? We got to stop doing that. We got to really realize how business is built. Real businesses are oftentimes built with $5,000 or less. There's a statistic that 70% of the businesses on the Inc. 500 list were started with less than $15,000. So the reality, and this ain't the sweet note that I know you want to hear a person like me tell you. That ain't gonna sound sweet to your ears. But the first thing that you got to do is get your mind right. Money starts in the brain and then goes to the pocket. So that's the first step, is we've got to start tuning our brains. We've got to start training ourselves to be better entrepreneurs and better stewards of the resources we have. We got to lower our consumption levels. We got to spend a little bit less Christmas. We got to spend a little bit less on clothes. We've got to be more conservative so we can put $10,000 or $15,000 to the side. And then we got to learn how to start small. And we've got to start small things that we can do with our money. We got to learn lessons. We got to put that $15,000 to the side. We got to use technology, which is the great equalizer now. And we've got to be able to churn out businesses, and we got to fail. And we got to say, you know what? I lost that 15, but I learned I lost that 15. I'm going to get me another 15,000 together, and I'm going to try it again. That's how we're going to really see growth and solve that problem. The banks ain't going to change their policies. Matter ain't going to fall from the sky. It's not happening. So we got to figure out how we can work our resources. We have a wealth of corporate wealth in our community right now. We've got more sisters and brothers working in corporate America, making great money, but we've got to transfer that money to become entrepreneurial money. And one of my personal kind of favorite ways to challenge this is we got to work through our kids, and we've got to put them in business, and we've got to let them take the risk, and we've got to get behind them and use our corporate money to seed that entrepreneurial mentality in them, so that all they think is the only way I can survive in this world is if I'm an entrepreneur. And that's how I think are really going to see that growth. That's how you really deal with that problem. And again, it ain't what you typically want to hear a person like me say, but I just think that's the real.
No, that's facts. And I think the funny part about it is that we think that there's sometimes this hocus pocus, we're going to get a whole lot of money. But the reality of it is there is no quick fix. It is a slow grind. It's having a strategy, it's implementing that strategy, it's reworking it or pivoting when necessary. And that's really what you're speaking to, is that it's a process and there's no getting around the process. Yeah. Awesome. So
and that's how business works. Oh, go ahead.
No, please.
No, I was just on what I was on. I hadn't talked about it enough. Go on to the next question. You cool.
But no, I just wanted to ask you to share with our viewers some of the other areas that they can find in the market. We talked about the consignment program, but I think it's important for us to know where are the consignments going.
Okay. Say that one more time.
We talk about the consignment program, but I think it's important for us to know where the consignments are going. You're opening something very specific there that the consignments are going into, correct?
Yes, I got you. So one, if you have a product that can go in a gourmet grocery store, that is one of the first places that we're going to be looking for consignment members, is in our gourmet grocery store, Aaron's Gourmet Grocery Store. Secondly, we also will be looking for consignment products in our gift shop here at the New Black Wall Street Market. So if you have things that are great for a gift shop kind of experience, unique things, our gift shop is all about Black business and entrepreneurship. So things that work well in that environment, our gift shop is a great place. Also, our art gallery is run based on a consignment model. So if you're a dynamic artist and you would like to be part of our art gallery experience, there are consignment opportunities there. Also, our gift shop on our art alley on our art avenue will also have consignment opportunities. So those are some of our major opportunities to consign, bring and sell a product to us. Also, we're looking at having abilities to offer other products that we may not have here at the market through our consignment program. So we're kind of open for a lot of different things. Right now, we've got a lot of hair care, body butters, candles, skincare, lots of retail. So those are not the areas where we're looking for consignment partners right now. But if it's in the grocery store, we need to talk. If it's in a gift shop, we should talk. Or if it's a art kind of based business, we should talk. And then also our bakery runs on a consignment model as well. So we got great bakers and confectionaries out there. We also want to talk to you about our consignment program.
Brother Matthew, we got another question from one of our viewers. It is, we have underused or shuttered malls in Chicago. Can this model be implemented in other markets? And I believe you sort of addressed that earlier. And like I said earlier, we visited you today. We actually saw you having a conversation with a sister from San Diego. So can you give a little bit more about this model and the ways it can be, in so many ways, transferred to other cities throughout the country?
Yeah, I think we certainly have that potential. I know that Mr. Allen, as a smart and conservative businessman, we've got to figure out how to run this business first. And so our first job is going to be to stabilize this operation, to learn how to run this business really well. And then we will have those opportunities to take the lessons that we've learned here at the New Black Wall Street here in Stonecrest, Georgia, and to begin spreading that around the country throughout the Atlanta metro area. But it's a process. So it won't be immediate, but that's part of our strategy of bringing leaders here so that these leaders can start understanding the mindset, the mentality, and the opportunity that can come about by creating. This is really, we're operating under this thing called an ecosystem-based model. to where you create an ecosystem for Black entrepreneurship to thrive in. And really the market is an energy center where people can come and get energized and connect with an entrepreneur. And so we're going to make these energy centers happen around the country. But our first job is to figure out how to do a great job here. So when we get ready to roll these out around the country, we can roll out smoothly. We can make it make sense. And we can be successful in really moving the needle for Black businesses in this country.
Excellent. Can I have one more question? This is going to be, I'm kind of flipping this, so to speak, because oftentimes we hear about what the responsibility to the Black community, the Black business has. And I think sometimes we do very little to discuss the joint responsibility of the Black consumer.
Excellent.
What do you think? What are your thoughts about what can be done to educate the Black consumer? Just give me your viewpoint, your philosophy, your outlook, and if there's anything structurally in place that you all have to kind of so-called train the Black consumer, we would love to hear about that as well.
Now, you said to train the Black consumer or to train the Black entrepreneur?
The Black consumer, because again, my point is we place such a heavy emphasis on the Black entrepreneur or the Black business owner. I don't think there's enough responsibility or onus placed on the Black consumer. It's a relationship, right? And so it's not one way, it's not one-sided. What do you think or should be the responsibility of the Black consumer? And is there any kind of structured training or is there a philosophy that you all have as it relates to the Black consumer doing their part to help us get where we desire to be?
Yeah, that's a great question. So here, let's talk about it from the perspective of the entrepreneur. I think the first thing is entrepreneurs, we have to, Mr. Allen always calls it this. He says, we have to operate with excellence at a minimum. And I think that came from my predecessor here at the Allen Entrepreneurial Institute, Mr. Waleed Shamsuddin, who owns another business at this time. And he wrote a book called Excellence at a Minimum. So that's one, is we have to be excellent in our operations. The second thing that I think we have to do is we've got to create products and services that are financially and fiscally responsible and that are market driven. So oftentimes, we see somebody selling the bow ties and they're $50 and we celebrating this $50 bow tie, but that's actually an inefficient amount to pay for a bow tie in a lot of cases. You really need to be paying $20 for a bow tie so you can really make it a real company and you can really take it from just being a boutique or a pop-up experience, right? So we've got to also learn and educate ourselves more about economics and how do we economically offer something that is a market, that can be market driven and that can catch on. I think one of the greatest equalizers we also have on the entrepreneurial side is that we've got to learn how to embrace e-commerce. And part of the challenge in e-commerce is that so often before we can start a business in the African-American community, we got to work a corporate job for a number of years. We're starting a lot later in life. So many of our African-American entrepreneurs are 35 plus. And then when you ask them, well, what do you do with social media and e-commerce? The answer is, well, I got a Facebook. And so you already know that means you're not working the thing the way you need to work the thing, right? So we've got to create a bridge of training so that we use this powerful platform of e-commerce and we really are getting our entrepreneurs in the game. And I think about these two young guys that I've watched grow up that own this firm called Toulon S. It's an urban streetwear company. These guys are using e-commerce. They're younger. They're using e-commerce and they're making over $20 million selling streetwear right here out of Atlanta. But it's because they understood how to work the technology. They took their creativity, they took their genius, and they scaled the company. We need to have more of those kind of stories in our community, right? And so I think it starts and ends with the entrepreneur for one. And I think that as entrepreneurs operate with these tenets of excellence, with these tenets of using technology, and with these tenets of giving customers a great price that's efficient and that's market driven, then we will see consumers respond. But we can't tell the consumer how to be a better consumer because consumption is market driven. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we would like to just say, okay, everybody should be more conscious and more black and more this. But the reality is we got to, as entrepreneurs, it lives and dies with us. And so I put the onus, if you would, on the entrepreneur to figure out how we can manipulate this system. Because we got it, y'all. We are the creativity. We are the innovation. Everything that's created comes from us. So we got it. We just got to figure out how not to give it up to other folks and how to monetize it and be better entrepreneurs. That's my philosophy on it, if you will.
Yes, sir. I think it's great. And one thing that I hear coming across you, and I'm sure that it probably echoes the sentiment of Mr. Allen, is that you all are unapologetically pro-Black in your approach. And I think what comes to mind is this asset-based perspective of not thinking that we have to reach outside of ourselves to become who and what we envision ourselves to be. Can you speak towards this consciousness that you made reference to just a few moments ago, and how that is interwoven into the very fabric of what you all are doing right now?
Yeah, I mean, just so often, because we hadn't seen it, we haven't had an uncle that coaches us through it. We start off oftentimes with as entrepreneurs with low self-esteem. So because we start off with this low self-esteem, we think that we gotta have this big office or we gotta be showy. So we don't start with the right principles and the right mindset. And so again, the philosophy, it is unapologetically pro-Black, but it's unapologetically a fundamentalist business strategies. It's looking at that. There ain't no shortcuts in this game. It's just understanding how to buy for one, sell for two, do that over and over again, pay your taxes, do it by the book so that nobody can ever stop you. And I watch Mr. Allen in the way he thinks when he approaches challenges and situations. He always looks at his assets and what resources he has. He ignores what he doesn't have, and he uses what he has and he cobbles it together and he makes stuff work. And that's probably one of the greatest things I've learned from watching how he thinks and how he moves, is that you've got to take what you have. You may not have that ability to create that $250,000, $500,000 restaurant that I spoke of, but you certainly can become the best caterer in the Atlanta metro region area and cobble together $5,000. You certainly can have the best damn food truck in the Atlanta metro area and cobble together 15,000 and kill it in that space, and then go to the next space and incrementally grow. So again, that's that asset-based thinking, like looking at what you have, and I kind of call it hustling from there, right? Like go from what you have, use those assets and push forward in that capacity, and don't worry about what you don't have. And so that's the philosophy that we're teaching here, and we're really trying to practice here at the New Black Wall Street Market.
Well, I got one more question, and then we'll take your closing comments. And then, because we know that you are exceptionally busy, and we thank you so much for taking time out of your hectic schedule to sit down and talk to us. But the question I have relates to the consignment opportunities. Is it exclusively for those who are in the Metro STONECREST community, or are you accepting consignments from out of state?
Yeah, certainly. That's a great question. We are accepting applications from all over the world. So you can come from out of state. That's why I'm really excited about this program, because now I can connect with my homeboys back in Arkansas, Alabama, from all over the country. We are accepting applications on our consignment program. So, and again, certainly our Atlanta Metro cousins and aunties and uncles, we want your products out here. But this program, because of the nature of it being consignment, is an opportunity for entrepreneurs all over the country to become a part of this movement that we're creating here in Stonecrest, Georgia. So yeah, that's a great question.
Well, one more time, if you wouldn't mind sharing how they can get in contact with you so that they can submit those consignment applications tonight. So how can they reach out to you?
Thank you. I got you. So come to our website, www.newblackwallstreetmarket.com. Now, if you don't feel like typing all that, www.newblackwallstreetmarket.com, you can type in www.nbwsm.com and it'll bring you to our website. Go to the section that says merchant information and then apply. You can apply right now without a charge. And so apply, tell us about your business, and within 48 to 72 hours, we'll respond back to you and let you know if that's something that we're interested in bringing to the market. And so again, I just want to thank you guys for allowing us to come on tonight. The market is an exciting venture. I know there's so many of the folks that tune in from around the country in the Atlanta metro area. We want to invite you to come out and see us from 11 to 8 this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then also we want to invite you to come and celebrate the Blackest Black Friday ever with us. It's going to start off with a bonfire early morning, 7 o'clock in the morning next Friday. And then we'll have the official ribbon cutting, and then we'll come through the doors and get the whole country involved in our efforts next week.
Amazing. Well, once we conclude this interview, we're actually going to show some of our footage from earlier today. So those who are out of state will get at least a little glimpse into this, I mean, just beautiful, beautiful market in the new Black Wall Street market there in the city of Stonecrest. I mean, I am crazy excited about what is being done, about what type of entrepreneurs we are giving birth to through this particular entrepreneurial womb. And I'm very, very excited. And I thank you so much for joining us, Brother Matthew. And you are always welcome here on BBI Talks. I'm sure Anthony D agrees. So we have an open door policy for you. So if there's anything that you want to share with our audience, please feel free to know that you just pick up the phone or call, or reach out through Sister Leslie. And thank you, Sister Leslie, for connecting us, as well as we cannot forget to thank our dear brother, Dr. Henry. Thank you, Dr. Henry, for connecting us with Brother Matthew.
And he'll be telling turkey
reality.
Turkey legs from Dr. Henry.
That's right. Shout out to Dr. Henry M. Carter with, is it King's Turkey Legs?
King's Turkey Wings and Things,
King's
right?
Turkey, Wings and Things.
And he's going to be there, right?
Black Wall Street.
Next month. Yeah, he's going to be at the new Black Wall Street market next month. So please check out our brother. Support. I think, I understand where you're coming from, Brother Matthew, but I do believe that we as consumers do have a responsibility. And I think the two main responsibilities we have is, number one, to inform the entrepreneur as to what it is that we desire by way of products and services. It's important for us to speak it, to express it, and don't leave it to guesswork. And it's also our responsibility that when the entrepreneur provides it in all the ways in which you addressed earlier, that we support it. That is our responsibility. That's our ownness, because we can't say we want a new Black Wall Street market and then don't support it.
Well, look, I ain't gonna argue with you. So either one of us is right. We're gonna be better.
Thank you, brother. Did you have anything else?
It was my pleasure. Thank you for having me. Next time I'll make sure we got a better Wi-Fi connection.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, big brother.
Peace, brother.
Peace.
Peace.
Wow, that was an amazing interview. All the information that we learned and everything that he shared, all the opportunities. I just hope and pray that our viewers jotted all that information down. Because if you have a product, man, this is the time to go for what you know.
One thing that came to mind is just how, where Atlanta, even though this is Stonecrest, people are going to still say Atlanta. So right. It's still legitimate. But just as you and I have experienced, because we've been living here for over 2 decades, just how internationally connected this city is. And I bring that up to say that this is the reverberation that we're seeing across the country, I believe is not by happenstance. Right. I think what they're doing with the concept of, if you will, the revitalization of the Black Wall Street idea, the time that we're in socially, when you're talking about the incidents involving George Floyd,
Yes.
Or even if you want to go back to the 20th anniversary of the Million Man March, when Minister Louis Farrakhan gave out the I would say the instruction, the divine instruction to redistribute the pain, but not in a violent way, but in terms of, and really following a pattern that was set in motion by our elder Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Yes.
Just withholding our dollar, but redirect it into Black businesses. And so I think what we're seeing, well, I'll say this, let's not think that what we're seeing happening here is just for Atlanta.
Right.
I think the implications of what we're seeing here in Atlanta is going to not only reverberate nationally, but also internationally. And so it was exciting for me when we went today just to kind of see what was going on, because I'm going to be honest, I didn't have low expectations for what I was seeing, but I was definitely impressed by what I saw.
Yes.
It exceeded my expectations. And by me having gone into that establishment when it used to be a Target, and to see what they did with that space is phenomenal.
Mind blowing.
And the spirit of the people there.
Yes.
All the brothers and sisters from the staff who work there, from security, from all the entrepreneurs there, from Brother Matthew, the brother who gave us the tour.
Nibwadi.
Yes. And just how they have it segmented. The gift shop, the Aaron's Market, the art
gallery. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Maddie's tea room.
Well done. Everything, the tea room. Oh my God.
Maddie's tea room is beautiful. I mean, just the perfect place to host brunch engagements, and any number of engagements. The other thing that we didn't get a chance to talk about is the Textile Museum. That Textile Museum is phenomenal. Yes. You know, being someone who has been blessed to travel a lot, to see different places where I've been blessed to visit represented through textile in that room. And the sister who gave us that tour was so well versed in how the textiles were prepared, their historical significance, the ethnic community that is represented and their way of life. I mean, it was just beautiful. And it just, you know, if you don't get anything else, and I'm talking about in addition to just excellence, Black excellence in terms of entrepreneurial establishments, but you also get a sense of pride.
Absolutely.
You know, and I mean, I don't know about you, but just having something else that we can be proud over,
absolutely,
that we can share with our children and be like, see, we are moving in the right direction. You know, I think is a phenomenal thing to have. To me, it's like, you know, representation matters.
Absolutely.
It matters. And it lays a permanent imprint on not only our children, but also on us.
Absolutely. And we think we talked about this when it came to the tea room. And there's another event space there, but that speaks to me about, we're not just, and I'm speaking, let's say if I was, you know, the owner of this venture, we're not just interested in getting your dollars, but we really want to have a relationship with you.
Yes.
So we're going to open up this facility for you to host your events there, because we are a part of the community. We want you to feel as if you are a part of this growth of this process. And so I think that's very important. And I think that speaks to us as a people. You know, we're not just transactional in how we engage with one another. We want to really develop a relationship with you. And I think this facility definitely exudes that spirit. And so it was a wonderful, wonderful visit. I mean, the energy that we felt just kind of, if you will, on an off day, because they're still going through these soft openings.
Right.
I can't imagine the energy that will be felt in that environment.
It's going to be powerful.
Once they do the ribbon cutting.
Yes.
And I mean, also the fact that, for those of you who don't know, and I think I mentioned this earlier, STONECREST is a predominantly Black city.
Yes.
Recently incorporated. it hasn't been not even 5 years, I don't believe, that City of Stonecrest was incorporated. But this thing is awesome. And one of the viewers, Brother Devin, who I know from Chicago, we talk about an area south of Chicago called the Southland, which is the south suburbs of Chicago.
Right.
And sometimes things that are happening in terms of gentrification and us being pushed out, that asset-based mindset is important. So we can look at it as if, man, we're being pushed out, woe is us. But you can look at it and see the assets that's in that environment where we're being, quote unquote, pushed to. Maybe we're being pushed like a mother pushes a baby out of the womb.
That's right.
It's coming out of an environment where it was once comfortable. Now it's being forced to come into this new reality. And so, but there's a new life to be experienced. And so I think whether you're talking about the South Lane in Chicago, whether you're talking about places in DeKalb County that's east of Atlanta or south of Atlanta or south, where we live in southern Fulton County, or any other place where you see all over the country where Black people are, quote unquote, being pushed out into the surrounding areas of these major cities, rethink what's happening.
We're being pushed into our destiny.
Come on now.
I was thinking about the historical piece that we played in the beginning.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so that was during a time when it was segregation. So we had to accept the fact that there was not going to be equal access to the bare necessities of life, right?
Right.
So it pushed us, to your point, into creating our own reality, right? And in the midst of us creating our own reality, we were, we were forced to not think about the Caucasian's contribution because we knew he wasn't going to make it, right? But now we're in an environment where we have an opportunity to decide for ourselves, you know what? We are going to willingly turn a blind eye to what we think this Caucasian can or cannot contribute.
Exactly.
And focus, because I think this is a part of that asset requirement too, is to really look at how we can create the reality for ourselves again. And this time, not do it with the understanding that at some point we want some Caucasian benevolence to step in and take over, but to continue to propel it with the understanding that, no, we're going to continue in this destiny, and this is going to be our new normal. This is going to be our new reality. And that's what I see coming out of a community endeavor like this and being duplicated in other places, and us saying, even consciously or even subconsciously, we want our own.
Yeah.
That's what I see. We want our own. Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, I didn't even you definitely helped me to see the parallel. I think the maybe the more obvious distinction between then and now is that we were being sat upon in a very overt, outright violent way. Well, we're being sat upon now through political, social, economic machinations and schemes.
Right.
But we're being pushed to this point nonetheless.
That's right.
And we have to respond intelligently for our benefits. So you definitely are right and exact on that.
So why don't we, for the sake of our views, why don't we show some of the footage that we got earlier today? We can't show you everything. I'm sorry, we don't have enough time. We want to just give you a little sample, a little taste, and we want you to come on out to the new Black Wall Street Market. Come out next Friday, 7 a.m. for the bonfire. Be there for the ribbon cutting, for the grand opening. That's what we want you to do, okay? But we're just going to give you just a little taste of what you can expect. And keep in mind that it's still very much building up to the grand opening date.
All right, let's do it.
So what are we looking at now? This
is, I believe it's called Aaron's Market. There you see. Well, it says Aaron's Home Cooking there.
So this is the gourmet grocery store.
Yes. So Aaron, as we learned, as a matter of fact, I caught the narrative within earshot. Aaron is actually the son of Mr. Bill Allen. Unfortunately, he passed away. I'm not familiar with the circumstances, but this was named after Aaron, his son. And so as we can see, they're still getting set up. And what I was impressed with and what kind of came to my mind is that this could very well be the start of a Black grocery store. I don't know if you all in the audience can kind of get a feel for it, but the square footage of it is it's not a small space.
No,
it's a lot
not.
of space in there. The fine wine area. Check out for the Magnolia Crescent Orchards. 100% alcoholic wine line to be in there sometime soon.
Right.
But yeah, so this is what that space is, and we ran into some wonderful entrepreneurs today.
Yes, we did.
One sister who was vending.
Well, we're not gonna tell them today.
Okay.
Yeah, because look, we have a whole show for that. So we don't want to drop all the goodies at one time. We want to kind of sprinkle it along the way.
My bad.
Look, y'all, he got a little excited about these events now.
I'm just excited to share with you all. You know, I'll tell you this. And this is probably I don't know if it's getting off topic or not, but it makes me feel good to share with us being and acting in an excellent manner.
Absolutely.
I think
Me too.
When you were telling me about what was then the Black business influencer and then what is now BBI Talks, one of the things that had me excited was too often us and others highlight the quote unquote negative aspects of what's going on, especially in business.
Right.
You know, a person or a business can do 99 things right, but that one thing that is wrong, it gets amplified. And now you get Yelp, you get Facebook, you get Google, all these places where the things that aren't right are being amplified. And so when we have outlets such as BBI Talks that is giving a voice and even giving visual confirmation of what's being done right is so important. And so to kind of help spread that is very exciting to me. And so I'm so happy to be able to take this journey with you and to really bring on board other businesses, other entrepreneurs, have these conversations, let you all get to meet them, know them. And like you were saying earlier, we're not doing this solely for you to be inspired, for you to be able to see these are things that are happening. We want you to be engaged.
That's right.
If you are an entrepreneur, like Brother Matthew said, if you go to their website, nbwsm.com.
Market.
That's the shortened version, nbwsm.com. You go there to, I believe it was the merchant information, and there's an apply there for you all who have products that you would like to have sent down here to be a part of the market on a consignment basis. Take advantage of this opportunity. Kareem and I, we were just talking today about entrepreneurs that we know in other cities throughout the country that we're definitely going to tap into and say, hey, you need to jump on board.
Absolutely.
Because as I was saying earlier, Atlanta is very much an international city. And so don't think your items, your goods and services are going to be just seen and taken and purchased locally. No, you never know, because like we were saying earlier, this has gotten tremendous coverage throughout the country. You
That's right.
Like I was saying, we met a sister who came all the way from San Diego. That's not up the street, y'all.
Sure not.
That's in the Western time zone. That's a nice long flight, a costly flight. But our people, there's a certain spirit that's amongst our people now. And I think all entrepreneurs who have something to offer, you would be doing a disservice to yourselves if you don't take advantage of this opportunity that you're being presented with right now.
Absolutely. I completely agree. And, I'm looking forward to, without giving, too much of a background, but I look forward to some of the things that we are planning on doing in terms of bringing groups to the new Black Wall Street. We haven't even had an opportunity to share that with Brother Matthew, but that it is something that we're going to be actively engaged in the process of doing. I'm thinking about, when we talk about grocery stores, I had the honor, privilege, and pleasure of working with our Southern Regional Student Minister Abdul Sharif Muhammad when he was actually in the process of opening your supermarket.
Yes.
And the reason why I'm so passionate about, and I'm so glad you brought up the question about what is our responsibility as consumers, is because I saw a beautiful grocery store that opened that had our products in it, that we could have supported with a greater amount of long-lasting fervor, and we didn't. And so and as a result, the supermarket ended up closing. And I don't want to see any more of our businesses go through that experience. We have a responsibility as consumers. Sometimes I think to myself, we may go to other establishments and get subpar treatment, but we continue to spend our money there. Right. And to your point earlier, we'll do 99 things right through a Black-owned business, but that one thing wrong, some people will say, I'm not going to spend my money there anymore. So there definitely has to be a mental or an attitude shift that has to happen with us as well. And the attitude shift is not necessarily, I don't want us to accept subpar treatment. Absolutely not. Exactly. But that attitude shift has to be, let's look at being more patient with one another, because just like we keep using the analogy of giving birth. Well, there are contractions. And for all the women out there who are giving birth,
labor pains.
There are labor pains. And those labor pains don't feel good all the time, right? But once the birth is complete, the labor is complete and the baby is born, there's an elation, there's an accomplishment, there is a beauty that comes out of that experience that is just indescribable. And so we have to have that same level of patience and be willing to bear the adjustments that we may see in this process, but know that we are about to give birth to something beautiful. But we have to support it. We have to support it. And I believe in this time that we have the energy. I think the time is perfect. I think the spirit of our people is perfect in terms of being able to really get behind this and propel it. And but I just wanted to make sure, just as a word of caution, I guess, that we must have long-term support. That should be our goal. Long-term support, not support in the moment, but long-term support.
Absolutely. I think, that aspect of the responsibility, the onus, or just really the part that the Black consumer plays, I think that's something we may want to consider delving into a little bit deeper, because I think it is important for us to really give thought to our role that we play in it, beyond just bringing our dollars to a market to exchange, but the part that you are talking about in terms of opening our mouth, not accepting anything less, challenging maybe in certain instances our entrepreneurs and our business owners to bring excellence. Like he was saying that Mr. Allen learned of excellence, bringing excellence at a minimum.
Mm-hmm.
And as consumers, I think there's a certain standard of excellence we could bring as well. So I know we're almost nearing the end of our show today.
Yes,
so I wanted to make
it's
sure.
A wonderful show, very informative. I pray y'all think so too. Thank you very much for logging on today and joining us on Facebook and on YouTube. We see y'all out there. We apologize to our Instagram fam, man. We're just getting back into the studio. Yes. And so, look, this is a part of these labor pains that we were talking about. So
that's all right. But at the end, as you said earlier, at the end of the process,
elation.
It's going to be some elation, something new, something beautiful. So are we going to bring in some sponsors to help to make this thing all possible?
Oh, absolutely. We want to thank all of you, and maybe if you have some people that joined that you want to kind of go down that list, I think you have all the commercials there locked and loaded on your computer.
Okay.
Well, while you do that, I'll go ahead and thank those who joined us on Facebook. I want to thank Sister Roslyn. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum, sis. Thank you for joining BBI Talks this evening. We want to thank Brother Devin out of the Shy.
Devin Gordine.
Out there with What's in It for the Black People Media. We thank you so much for joining us today. We want to thank Brother Mansour. Oh, the author of Mansour and the Mysterious Wheel. He's got a new book that's dropping this month. So
this episode of BBI Talks is brought to you by our proud.
Also, he has his nonprofit, ICRA International, where they share the joy of reading with children of color around the world. So please, thank you so much, Brother Mansour, for checking the show out today. And of course, we want to thank Sister Latay from Virginia, who lives here in Atlanta now. We thank you so much for checking out BBI Talks. She is the beautiful wife to King Cam. What's up, man? Assalamu alaikum. So look,
shout out to King Cam
Bob too, man. I love his show. So let's go ahead and get into our proud sponsors.
All right, let's do it. So, Abdullah Daniels Group, LLC. We are a full-service life insurance agency that represents multiple carriers in all 50 states. For more details, log on to our website at adgllc.org or call us at 404-561-7480. Abdullah Daniels Group, Life Insurance Agency.
PS Naturally Yours 1614 Oil. Let all things be done with love. 1614 is a nourishing hair, skin, and nail oil cultivated to transform your self-care routine with our unique natural essential oils that features sweet vanilla, citrus with a hint of cinnamon. PS Naturally Yours 1614 Oil is now available at psnaturallyyours.com.
All right, so we are at the end of this wonderful episode, The New Black Wall Street Market. Thank you, Anthony D.
Thank you, Professor Lotus. Thank you for having me.
I really, man, I enjoy us having this time together on this show. I love the questions, the thought-provoking questions that you bring to this show.
Likewise.
You bring a shading that is just very uniquely your own, and I appreciate that energy and just your presence being here in the studio, and I'm sure the audience does too. And welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank
and
you.
I'm looking forward to us having many, many, many more shows like this one and even better.
Absolutely. Thank you for extending the opportunity for me to participate. This is something new.
Yeah.
My mother will probably disagree with me, but I don't often like to hear my own voice.
Aw.
But I'm willing to make the sacrifice.
Thank you. Please do not deny us of the majesty of your voice now. Come on.
But I'm enjoying it, and I'm enjoying the opportunity to get to meet people like Brother Matthew and the beautiful brothers and sisters that we met today. So bring it on. Let's keep this thing going, and let's bring more quality to the audience, and let's just grow. Brother Matthew used a term that you really kind of helped me to kind of lay on my mind as I look at Black entrepreneurship, and that's creating that Black business ecosystem. And the fact that that's something that's in his mind and that he's intentional about, that Mr. Al is intentional about, there's that synchronicity that we often see. So it seems like you were ahead of your time, sister.
Oh, wow. Look, all praises are due to Allah. Look, there's nothing new under the sun. And I'm just grateful that we are in the right time, doing the right thing, for the right cause and for the right reasons. And that's all I ask. This is, how we're going to go ahead and conclude today's episode. We're not going to belabor the point, but I thank you so much, Anthony D, for being on here. I thank those of you who had a chance to stop in your busy schedule of preparing dinner or rushing home from work to check us out, to hear about what's going on in the city of Stonecrest. Of course, I'm your Professor Lotus.
And I'm your brother, Anthony D.
That's what's up. And we're going to leave you as we came before you. Peace.
Peace.
We gotta bring businesses back. My business is black. My business is black as the universe. I know why they mad, they gotta react, cause we're universal influencers. I can supply you the man, get what I need out the land. The earth is the kingdom of God. Glad that I know where I am. We gotta bring businesses back. My business is black. My business is black as the universe. I know why they mad, they gotta react, cause we're universal influencers. I can supply you the man, I can supply you the man, get what I need out the land. Glad that I know